Okay, hi, my LGBT friends and others. So I hope you enjoyed the sort of refresher on the eunuch. He had some more stuff in his explanation, the homosexual eunuch and the Bible, that I want to just try to add in there that didn't get added before. I didn't realize I thought it was at the end of it. Because it goes over some explanations here with the language, and the New American Standard leaves out stuff or changes it. Okay, so hang on just one second. I'm going to have to, I need two hands here real quick. Because I want to get into reading the Deuteronomy. Yeah. Okay, so you were saying also too that is the verse taken out of context? For there are eunuchs who are born so from the mother's womb, and there are eunuchs who were made eunuchs by men, and there are eunuchs who are made themselves eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. To him who can comprehend, that is enough. Matthew 19:12, Lanza. The verse is found when Jesus is speaking about marriage between a man and a woman. Jesus goes on and quotes the verse, talking about people that it wouldn't be good for them to marry because of the way that they were born, or because of a situation, or because of their choice. In order to get a correct interpretation of a verse, you have to know the definition of the words and the way that the verse is used in context. But also in regards to the New Testament Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Jesus a lot of times changed the subject in his teachings or when he was asked a question or questions. Some of his words may appear to be out of context to a reader when they are not. So we have to go by definitions for the word mahena, eunuch, which in this verse is actually not out of context in regards to men, that it wouldn't be good for them to marry a woman, a wife. It would not be good for a homosexual man to marry a woman because he lacks the sexual pheromone receptors that enable him to be attracted to a woman. In other words, he's celibate to women, okay? And it should be noted that a homosexual is impotent toward a woman. The other two reasons why a male wouldn't be able to marry a woman are obvious by the meaning of the word mahimna and its associations. Another thing that needs to be pointed out is Jesus' last statement in verse 12. He said this about the eunuchs, that it wouldn't be good for them to marry a woman. To him who can receive or accept it shall receive or accept it. The last part is usually written elliptically as let him receive it. The word spag, S-P-A-Q, means to receive, accept, when it accompanies the word miltha, M-I-L-T-H-A, word statement saying message. See in John 8:37. It also appears in the previous verse when Jesus says, not every man accepts, sa, peg, or shall be accepting, this saying, miltha, but to whom it is given, Matthew 19:11. However, it literally and mostly means to be sufficient, enough, adequate, to suffice. See Deuteronomy 3:26, Matthew 6:34, John 6:7, etc. Jesus may have meant all three of those meanings with his use of the word spag, S-P-A-Q. Hope I'm saying that right. This last statement is written or constructed the same way as Jesus' other statements of, he that has ears to hear, let him hear, or he that has eyes to see, let him see. I don't see any reason to translate one of Spag's meanings for the first occurrence and then one of his other meanings for the second occurrence, as Dr. Lanza translates that statement as, to him who can comprehend, that is enough. I also don't believe comprehend is a good translation for spag. In any of the biblical scriptures, spag, S-P-A-Q, was translated into Greek as choreo, C-H-O-R-E-O, to receive, the KJV, or can mean to receive with the mind, except the NKJV Bible, okay? Lastly, it is likely that Jesus' reference to a born eunuch is referring to a straight, impotent man. I can't picture a straight man accepting his impotence or seeing his situation as being sufficient if he is lusting after a woman. Also, a lot of gay men marry women because they just don't know the truth about what the Hebrew and the Aramaic Bible teaches. A lot of men that are impotent toward their wives are homosexual, and I know many who are, personally. A compendious Syriac dictionary, Mahanim, Mahemna, Mahemanda, a believer, a Christian, faithful, trustworthy, a eunuch. That's the Syriac dictionary edited by J. Payne Smith in 1998, page 255. The Syriac dictionary stops short of defining Mahemna as effeminate, but it does define the phrase man of the woman, the Garnishaya, meaning a hermaphrodite, a eunuch, and effeminate. Syriac dictionary edited by J. Payne Smith, 1998, page 59. Foreign language lexicons or dictionaries won't always give the meanings of a word. If we go only by the definitions given by the Syriac dictionary, then we would have a hard time understanding what Jesus meant by his use of born eunuchs. See the eunuch continues subpage to get the proof of the definitions of the word mahemna. Let me spell it. M''Haym-N-A, translated as eunuch. I also cover certain beliefs about eunuchs that are accepted that may not be false, but that the Bible does not support as absolute truth regarding eunuchs. Pictures of eunuchs are shown with information under Esther's Eunuchs subpage. And I think I've put these up before. I'm pretty sure I did in my other videos. So I don't know if I'll have enough to read this one chapter of Deuteronomy, but I'm sure going to give it a try, and because I won't be able to do that much this weekend as far as reading. Okay, so Deuteronomy chapter 7. All communication with the nations forbidden for fear of idolatry and for the holiness of the people, images to be destroyed. And when the Lord the God shall bring thee into the land where thou goest and possess it, hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. I've already read this chapter. Okay, chapter 8. Sorry about that. Okay, an exhortation into obedience in regard of God's mercy and goodness in his dealings with Israel, the evil of worshiping other gods. Okay, all the commandments which I command thee this day shall you observe to do, that you may live, multiply, go in, and possess the land which the Lord swore unto your fathers. And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee, to prove thee, to know what was in thy heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no. And he humbled thee, and he suffered thee to hunger, fed thee with manna, which thou knowest not, because they don't know where, it came from heaven, okay? Neither did the fathers know, that he may make thee known that man does not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord does man live. Thy remnant waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years. Thou shalt also consider in thine heart that as a man chasten his son, so the Lord thy God chastens thee. He makes us into diamonds, okay? Therefore thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways and to fear him. For the Lord thy God bringeth thee into a good land, a land of brooks of water, fountains, and depths that spring out of the valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley and vine, fig trees, pomegranates, a land of oil, olive, and honey. Yummy. And where thou shalt eat bread without scarceness, thou shalt not lack anything in it, a land whose stones are iron, but out of those hills thou mayest dig brass. And when thou hast eaten and are full, and thou shalt bless the Lord thy God for the good land which he hath given thee. Beware that thou forgettest not the Lord thy God in not keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Lest when thou eaten and art full, and hast built godly houses and dwell therein, and when thy herds and thy flocks multiply, and thy silver and gold is multiplied, and all that thou hast is multiplied, then thy heart be lifted up, and thou forget the Lord thy God, which brought thee forth and out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, who led thee through the great and terrible wilderness, wherein were fiery serpents and scorpions and drought, and where there was no water, who brought thee forth water out of the rock of flint, who fed thee in the wilderness with manna, which thy fathers knew not, that he may humble thee, that he might prove thee to do thee good at thy latter's end. And thou sayest in thine heart, my power and my might of mine hand hath gotten me this wealth. But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant, which he swore unto thy fathers, that is this day. And it shall be if thou do it shall be if thou do at all forget the Lord thy God, and walk with other gods, and serve them and worship them, I testify against you this day that ye shall surely perish. As the nations which the Lord destroyeth before your face, so shall ye perish, because ye would not be obedient unto the voice of the Lord your God. So I'm going to stop there. And let us not forget that even the breath in our lungs comes from God. Every good thing that we have, God allows us to have. And what we do have, let's be blessing him for it. And never forget that we are here because God allows us to be here. And he brings people into your life for a purpose, that nothing is by accident, that there are divine appointments, that your days are numbered, that there are books written about your life that you could have taken or not taken, and that is going to be what will be your inheritance, okay? What you do now may have been what the Lord wanted you to do. It may not. And the Lord's going to compare what he was going to give you to what you did with your life here on earth. So be thinking about that, okay? Wouldn't that change your opinion of what you should do if you knew that what you're doing here on earth is storing up for your inheritance in heaven? So pray on that. Anyway, I hope you have a great weekend. And that's the end of the reading for this weekend. I will start next week with chapter 9. Okay, bye-bye.